Okay. Well, lost you there, Victor. Um, but yeah, let's see here.
I
There
am
we go.
here.
I
Not
can
sure
hear
why my
you.
camera's.
I can't see you.
I have nothing blocking my camera.
Okay. That's strange. Still don't see you.
Huh.
Um, okay. Hopefully everything's good now. I can see you. You're there.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Not sure what happened there.
No, that's okay. That's all good. Okay, so the Vancouver Canucks win a thrilling come from behind game where they were down 4-1, take the lead in the third, 5-4 game. Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts, but I'll bring it over to you. What were your thoughts of that game and how you feeling right now?
Who says the Canucks can't score goals?
Huh?
Eh, wow, what a comeback! This knew Edmonton could be beat. That it wasn't like Vancouver was playing poorly. They a couple bad bounces and a lapse in judgment allowed to make it 4-1. But man, no give up in this team. They felt they were still in it, and they proved it. It was just what a what a comeback! Start with that little tap in front of the net by Lindholm, and then carried it on right through. Then Miller scored. Zadorov with the clapper, and then Connor Garland and with a goal. Well, that I'm glad he scored, but I'm sure Stuart Skinner wants to have that back. And
Yeah, that was a bad goal.
yeah, and the Canucks carried the play in the third period. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton didn't get a shot on net till 15 minutes into the third. It seemed like.
Yeah, I like the first period. Yeah, Edmonton obviously had the lead going into the intermission. But overall, I thought the Canucks were the better team. Even when it was 4-1, it just kind of felt like there was just some bad breaks that the Canucks kind of faced. And that's why the score was so lopsided. It wasn't, score didn't feel indicative of what was happening in the game. Uh, there's a couple things for me.
Yeah, Silas probably could have wanted the fourth goal
The fourth goal,
back,
yeah.
but
The other three are not his
my
fault, but that fourth
yeah,
one was, yeah, not
yeah,
so good.
Myers did get a piece of that with his stick and kind of made it into a changeup, but probably still he should have had it. But he made the saves in the third
Mm-hmm.
when he needed to, or the save, a save.
Yeah.
He just didn't face many, but he was there.
So last week we sort of previewed this series a little bit. We touched on it, and there's two things that I said that I thought if Vancouver can do these things, they have a good shot. Or not so much do these things, but these are the two biggest factors. And one of them was Stuart Skinner. He can have a good game sometimes, but he can also have a very poor game. He had a very poor game today. Another thing is get the puck in deep on that Edmonton defense because they're not very good. And boy, they look pretty awful. Like Darnell Nurse, like on that
They're
Garland goal, that was like the
ooh,
biggest gap that was. I was like, oh,
he
who's going to
he
close that gap?
carried so much. Garland's not a super fast guy, but he looked
Yeah,
like Mikheyev out there skating with that speed.
yeah.
He,
No,
and then
he had a lot of speed coming in, but just the gap
yeah,
control from Darnell Nurse. You see that guy?
yeah,
I was like, he
yeah,
didn't even start moving until Garland was past him, and
yeah.
it's like, oh man, stone legs. Um,
Yeah,
but those are the two
yeah, but
things.
that looked like an '80s style goal where a guy just went around and then shot it along the ice and went in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like you know, credit to Garland. He shot it at the perfect moment, right, where the goalie's kind of sliding over to
Yeah.
sliding his pad over, and he finds a hole there.
It was
For
similar
sure.
to Vancouver's fourth goal when Silas was just sliding his pad to get into position and then went out under his pad.
Yeah, yeah. Same thing. It was a weird Hyman shot that the puck wasn't deflected, but it was a stick on stick play. So
Yeah,
the shot was kind of weird to read, like along
yeah.
the ice. Goal that probably Seelovs
He
would want back. That was not a
he'll
good goal.
yeah he'll be the first to say he probably should have saved that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought even, I mean, we're not picking here because they won the game, but even like Tyler Myers probably should have closed that gap a little and not allowed the shot to happen. But doesn't really matter now. So there's
So moot
two.
point.
I mean, there's the obvious turning point where Hyman gets that pass, has an empty net to shoot at. If he scores that goal, it's probably game over. Hits the post, and we know what happens. But there's two big turning points in this game. One of them was the Draisaitl injury. He was
laboring
injured.
out there.
Oh, he could barely move for the rest. Like he missed the rest of the second, was out for the third, but like he wouldn't even go in corners. He was barely skating, which makes me think it's either back or hip related or something. Yeah. Because he had, he's not known as a fast player, but he couldn't move at all.
No,
that's
going slow, and he took a undisciplined penalty, which it ended up being 4-on-4, but the classic Draisaitl where he has a short temper and takes penalties like that. He's been known to complain about every little thing where you can't touch him, but he can do dirty things to you.
He definitely gets frustrated, right? I think Zadorov was going after him because he knows that he's injured, and he's probably pissed off about that. But that's what you got to do, right? You got to go after those guys if you know something's going on.
That would have been a great trade-off if Draisaitl was 100%, because as much as Zadorov is needed, I'll take Draisaitl off for 2 minutes any day of the week.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that not only for this game, but Draisaitl being injured can really change the outlook of this series now, I think. Because before his injury, I mean, he had two assists? I believe. Yeah, he had 2 assists. And the other, like that first, the 4-2 goal by Lindholm, wasn't it? Yeah, where he did the kind of like a wraparound. That another bad goal.
Yeah.
By Skinner had a rough game. But I think that Vancouver, they had a good forecheck. They stuck to their game. Edmonton's defense was.
They wilted.
They wilted. They looked slow. They did. McDavid was a non-factor in this game.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that. He was still a factor, but.
I mean, not what you expect from him though. He looked very quiet compared to what.
It wasn't super Connor McDavid, but he was still dangerous. Anytime he touches the puck, it's like, oh.
Well, he's got that speed and like that. Yeah. He almost had that breakaway where Pettersson just got a piece of it. Yeah. That could have been a big difference.
That Pettersson looked pretty good tonight. He had his skating legs. He went in the corners.
Mm-hmm.
That back check there. He was on the ice late in the game to preserve the win. What did you think of his performance tonight?
Yeah, I thought he did better. That's that and Game 6 against Nashville are the best he's looked so far in his playoffs. Yeah. He didn't look bad in this game at all. I think he forechecked well. You would notice him. Where some of the other games in that series you didn't really notice him too much. So that's a good sign because you're going to need him, especially against a team like Edmonton. His two
wingers aren't helping him out very much because they've been non-factors these whole playoffs. But I don't want to put him with Garland and Joshua.
Because you don't want to break up that line, yeah.
Yeah, and then you render Lindholm doing the same thing, who's not as good a player as Pettersson.
Mm-hmm. He's been playing well, though. Lindholm's playing very well.
Yeah.
That's
why you got him for these playoffs.
This was a great game by Lindholm. Overall, I think it could be his best game that he's played. He was physical. He threw some big hits. He had some chances. He was noticeable.
Yeah, after I think it was the first goal, first or second goal, he tried to will the team back in with his physicality.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. You don't really think of Lindholm as a physical guy, but he was throwing his body around, and that's
that line was buzzing in especially in the third period. They were solid the whole night, but that third period, that line was all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, they just had a good forecheck going, and they were just keeping it in this like that. I just feel like Edmonton, you just get the puck in deep on that defense, and they struggle to skate the puck out of the zone, and they they have a hard time against cycles, and that's what you got to do. Like they're
Look, I think Talkett coached Woodcroft on this one. Woodcroft started parking the bus to take a soccer term and just played defense and told them all to sit back and stop attacking. And look what happened. Vancouver ended up scoring 4 goals against them with that sitting back style. Didn't work.
They looked it was weird. It's like you don't see Edmonton looking very timid, but they look like timid. Like, I don't know if it was just the team's reaction to Draisaitl or something, but they really looked off like that. I mean, it's hard when you have, one of your top players kind of seriously injured. I mean, that maybe played a bit into their Edmonton psyche, because they were just like, oh, he's injured. Let's keep this simple, get it in deep, not really, do anything.
Shows their lack of depth without.
Yeah.
Other than the McDavid line, after that, Draisaitl was a shell of himself. They couldn't create outside of McDavid.
Yeah, like Nugent Hopkins, I thought was okay for them, and McDavid. Skinner was not good. I don't know how many shots Vancouver had.
I thought McLeod was pretty. He showed his speed, but he didn't create anything with his speed, luckily.
Mm-hmm.
And Zadorov was his usual self, where he was able to bully around players. And Zadorov for Conn Smythe here.
Yeah, he played a great game. Like it started to feel like, I mean, well, cross that bridge when it comes that he might price himself out of Vancouver here with how he's playing. He's got to get a pretty big contract if he keeps this up.
If he brings home a cup here, I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't really worry about that until it comes. So Vancouver had 24 shots, Edmonton had 18, so that means Skinner allowed 5 goals, 24 shots. Trying to think of all the goals.
Shots Edmonton mustered 5 shots in the third period.
Yeah, they didn't have anything. Even their bottom, like, I mean, I think it was Evander Kane, who said at the end of the season that he's dealing with an injury, which is maybe kind of a weird thing to say at the end of the season before the playoffs. He didn't look particularly effective at all out there. I thought
I noticed him once, maybe.
Yeah, just one rush in that third period. I noticed.
Yeah.
Who else? Like Corey Perry. He's usually a very playoff guy. He looked very slow out there.
I saw him on the 4th goal doing a great screen job.
Yeah, on his own goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another.
He was right in his office in front of the goalie. Unfortunately for him, and fortunately for the Canucks, he was in front of the Edmonton goalie.
Yeah. Those 3 guys there that just went in front. It's like, it's not even a screen by a Canucks player. It's by your own 3 players.
Yeah, it looked like it was his whole team that screen. That's what happens when you park the bus.
Yeah, they didn't. As good as Vancouver looked, and I thought like, even when it was 4-1, I felt like the score wasn't indicative of how they were playing. Right away, they took a tough too many men on the ice penalty. And looking back, that was like bad. And they didn't even do a terrible job in the penalty kill. It's just, they
got one chance.
They got one chance, and it's an empty net on the far side by Hyman.
Yeah,
but they didn't take a penalty
again late in the game too.
Yeah, that was where it went across the crease. Nugent Hopkins, I think it was, threw it across through the legs of
McDavid. That was just threw it right across, and then
it was just a bullet pass that he couldn't
missed
handle
everything.
Yeah, that was close, but that was the only penalty really that Vancouver took, other than coincidentals.
Yeah,
right.
They needed to be very disciplined, and they were.
Yeah, because that's the only spot. Because even though Draisaitl is injured now, he can still make you pay on the power play.
Yeah, he doesn't need to move much for that shot.
Yeah, and he doesn't move too much. If you watch him on the power play, he's always that guy who goes on that half wall, stops up, holds that puck, waits for someone to get in position, and kind of creates through. Or McDavid's the complete opposite. He creates chances through using his speed and cycling. They're two very different, but they complement each other. But
part of it where you leave Draisaitl is because you need all 4 guys on McDavid.
Yeah, and then we've talked about this, but the power play, there's a lot, right? There's the point shot from Bouchard. There's the Hyman ever presence, Draisaitl on the side. Nugent Hopkins in the bumper. But yeah, you don't take any more penalties after that first one, and you put yourself in a good position because 5-on-5, Vancouver was the better team.
Yeah. I think the refs called a good game. There wasn't. I don't recall anything being too many blown calls or anything like that.
There was that weird. It was not a penalty because it was a follow through, but I don't know how a stick gets through the ear hole on Joshua there by Ekholm.
Well, thankfully he didn't get nothing happened to Joshua.
Yeah, but that's a dangerous spot to get.
That's not a penalty, but it's
a follow through. Yeah, some people I was reading on Twitter, so like, "That's how is that not a penalty?" I was like, well, in the rule, but that's a follow through. That's not a penalty. But
during the third period, I was trying to get. I was hoping the crowd would get into it a little bit more. I tweeted out, "Let's make some noise, crowd! Come on, seventh man, mocking the seventh man thing again." And then, pretty much 2 minutes later, they scored, and then they scored again, and they scored again.
Because at the end of the second, they got the that was a Lindholm goal, and then it was Miller getting that deflection. Boy, like that was a great tip by Miller. Again, I think that was Darnell Nurse on that side, like just nowhere near his guy. Like this Edmonton defense is like is looking really bad.
Cody Ceci almost scored on his own net, and then unfortunately went back and scored an actual goal for his team.
An actual goal, yeah. But that hit like a Canuck defense. I think it hit Cole and then went in.
Cole, who didn't have one of his better games.
No, he struggled. He had a really bad first period.
And second.
Second as well. Didn't have a great game. But the Canucks, I thought JT Miller played well. Hughes took a lot of hits, but he still skated the puck out of the zone.
I thought that was a hit from behind by Hyman. I think it was Hyman who hit him in the little boards. Thought that could have been called, but
it's it's hard because of the size of some players. Like if that's a bigger player, maybe they just hit the boards, but the size difference between Hyman and Hughes. I mean, regular season that could very well be a penalty. In playoffs, I don't know. Yeah. It's hard to tell what's going to be a penalty, what's not.
It should be a penalty. I'll say this again. Always, if it's a penalty in the regular season, it should be a penalty in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't.
You call too many men in the regular season, you're going to call too many men in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, some of the more obvious ones, I guess, they do call. I mean, there was. I don't know if you had a chance to catch that Rangers Carolina game. There was the penalty that everyone's talking about now that they thought shouldn't be a penalty that ended up Rangers scoring on the power play and winning it in double overtime. But
I thought Trouba should have been kicked out of the game.
Oh, he was going for blood there. He was going full elbow to the head.
Yeah, left his feet. I don't know how. Okay, I understand the refs missed it the first time. After the game, the league doesn't look at it because he chicken winged that elbow.
He was going for the head.
Yeah,
Nietzsche's. Yeah, he's going for Nietzsche's. It's I don't know. I saw someone post this up online too, saying that if someone is intent to hurt somebody else, even though it's not successful, that is a penalty. I don't know how often they call that, but in the rule books, attempt to injure that's a penalty. Wasn't called, but boy, yeah.
And then I saw some of the comments. People were saying Netchcast is a baby for ducking the hit. I mean, who's gonna want to take that hit?
Yeah, that's a horrible hit. That's I don't know. People are.
I see a 6'5" guy charging at me with his elbows and jumping off his feet. I'm getting out. I don't care who you are. You're getting out of the way.
Yeah, he left his feet. He had his elbow up. That's as bad as you can get. I mean, he was going for straight blood.
It's like you're on the street and you see a car coming. Oh, you know what? I'm a tough guy. I'll take this hit.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't read that, but anybody who thinks that, like Nate just did, the only thing that you should try to be doing is get away from that hit. And luckily, he avoided something that could have been really bad.
I kind of felt the kick was also very blatant. I think Trouba should get a game for that whole play.
I don't think he's gonna get anything. I mean, it would have already been. He's already been released by now if he was. But he's always kind of been a guy on the edge all the time. Yeah. He chases those big hits and
back to the Canucks game.
Yeah, back to the Canucks. This is not the Rangers
game.
3 stars of the game. I know they do their own 3 stars for the actual game, but
Yeah.
mine are probably. I'm trying to think. There was, I mean, you got to give probably one to Garland for getting that game-winning goal. No, like
I have
you know,
mine.
yeah.
Yeah, mine would be in the Hyman,
2 goals, yeah.
Zadorov, and Lindholm.
Hmm.
I
What
hate
did
to leave
Lindholm?
out. I hate to leave out Joshua, but I thought Lindholm was more noticeable throughout this game.
Hmm.
Yes, he's the center, so he's going to be involved in a lot more of the plays. But those are my 3 stars.
Yeah. No, you can't go wrong. I mean, yeah, Zadorov played a great game. Hyman 2 goals, and Joshua had a goal as well. He had the first goal,
Yeah.
and he was in there. He was in the fight.
Yeah.
Um.
Under the Canucks seeing Hyman celebrate after that second goal like they had won the cup kind of juiced them on.
Well, I think they probably just felt like, we're playing a good game, but it's not. It was the results are not happening. These little bounces, these little mistakes, and they slowly chipped away at it. Right, like I with Edmonton, I thought Edmonton just didn't play a great game. You know, as good as Vancouver played, I thought Edmonton didn't play a good game,
Yeah,
and
they got the bounces early.
They got the bounces, yeah, but like with those bounces too, like I was saying earlier, I thought Vancouver was the better team. I thought like Jeff Skinner had a really like I'm trying to think of Jeff Skinner. No, that's a forward. Stuart Skinner. He had a poor game. I'm trying to think of all the goals. There's the JT Miller goal. I think that one. All right, that's a tip. That's a tough save. The 5-4 goal. That's got to be stopped. The Lindholm on the side of the net. That's got to be stopped.
Yeah.
What was there? The Zadorov one. I mean, he's kind of screened, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you'd like a save there if you're an Edmonton fan.
The Joshua first goal probably didn't have much chance on that one.
That's off the wall and kind of back to him. Although he was kind of slow to get to that side.
Better position. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he read the play well enough. He didn't know where
Didn't read the
Joshua
bounce.
was.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's place blame on him on that one too.
Yeah, somewhat. I also put more blame if you check that because I rewatched that play a couple times to see how Joshua was open, and that was a mistake by the 2 defensemen because that was off a face-off play, and they did not. That was I believe it was Cece who did not get his man, and he was nowhere near Joshua, and they kind of that's right because they were both going for the guy behind the net, and then Cece realized I shouldn't be, and then it was way too late. There was there's a lot to unpack here, but. With this game being done, Canucks take a 1-0 series lead. I think the big story here is like the Draisaitl injury. That can be really big.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, definitely, because he's on the team. He's their second best player, most valuable player to them. And in this particular game, I thought he was their most effective player until his injury for Edmonton. He was kind of creating more than McDavid today, but I mean that doesn't mean he's a better player. But that's
say it was McDavid. Just anytime McDavid has the puck, he's the best player on the team. He's the most dangerous. Even with an average McDavid game he's still the most dangerous player on the team.
He's still noticeable on average, but like when he's at the top of his game, you're like he's he's putting up a few points, right? Like but I thought Draisaitl had a couple like that pass to Ekholm in the first.
Yeah.
The other power play where he drops it down low to I think it was Hopkins who passes it to Hyman for the goal. Like smart player, and if he's as injured as he is, and he's not going to get better, that's a huge blow because there's no one to replace him.
I hope he sits out. He's got to take care of himself. He's got a long career ahead of him.
Don't worry about this series. There's always another year.
He should just sit out for the good of the team.
I think he is not gonna sit out though. Yeah, for the Canucks. I mean, he had that high ankle sprain years ago, and he kept playing and was effective. But we'll see. Yeah, because he didn't engage in the boards at all. He just let the player take the puck instead of going there. So I was like, okay, he's really avoiding it. There's something.
Yeah. In that second period when he came on for that 5-second shift, as soon as he stepped over the boards, it looked like, I can't go. skating about to the blue line. I'm like, nope, got to come off.
I was surprised for him to come out in third.
Yeah.
I thought
to play as much as he did, even.
Yeah, because he was not. I mean, he's not effective. He's playing at like 20%. But I guess he's also he's a gamer, right? Like he'll play through an injury. We've seen that with
he's a tough
ankle sprain.
He's a tough guy. Complains a lot, but very tough.
Yeah,
low key dirty too.
Yeah, he gets frustrated, and he's definitely a slasher.
Yeah, he does a lot of dirty stuff if he doesn't get his way.
Yeah.
We're talking about matchups in the first about this game, about this in general, and maybe the Canucks do match up well with Edmonton. How the Kings don't match up well with Edmonton, or you're saying how the Kings just that 1-3-1 is so passive. They just let McDavid skate around and
you can't give him room.
But where the Canucks keep skating and there's a lot less room out there for McDavid.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like the play against Edmonton, because of their speed and their stars, you got to give them no space. You got to get in on their forecheck. Basically, make them play defense. Don't let them get to their game and you can't get them.
Game one, it showed McDavid was dangerous. He created chances, but he didn't break the Canucks.
No, I mean against Edmonton, if you watch those, against LA, if you watch those games, he was way more noticeable and way more dangerous because they were giving him way more space.
Yeah. He would get the puck at his own blue line, just skate in.
Yeah.
When you're so static against a player like that, he's just gonna blow right past you.
Yeah. Yeah, with that speed, you have to there was the one play too where Hronek, I thought, had made a really good defensive play where McDavid was cutting wide on him, and you're not going to catch him because as soon as you go to body, he's going to put that shoulder down. He just made a nice stick check to get it off his stick and just stop him. I thought they did a really good job against McDavid in game one. We'll see.
But both teams do need to clean things up. I'm sure there will be adjustments on both sides.
Yeah, there'll be some adjustments, I think, for Vancouver. There's just a couple of cleanup plays. Yeah. I think Edmonton's got a lot more to clean up, though. I mean, with goaltending, I don't know how you clean that up, but it was the same thing last year for Edmonton, where Skinner had a good first round. In the second round, he really struggled. He got pulled in I think two of the games last year in the second round. So he's still a young goalie, but just looking shaky, and I think that's a good sign for Vancouver. Because if you stop their top guys and you're going to be able to score against that defensive core and that goaltender, you feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, you if you score 4 goals, you should win the playoff game.
You should, yeah.
Which technically one of the teams that scored 4 playoff goals tonight did win the game.
Yeah, Edmonton. If you're up 4-1. Going in the third 4-2, you got to find a way to close out that game, But credit the Canucks; they kept coming. Yeah. Like you said, the crowd was quiet for a bit there, and you're like, oh, it's getting kind of quiet here because nothing's going on. And then when they got that goal from Miller, it came right back. Yeah,
it was there for after the second goal too. For the third, they were trying to get into it. They were there, but they weren't loud. But once that third goal, the place erupted. At that 5th goal, oh man, that was loud.
Yeah, right after that happened not long after that 4th goal.
Yeah. I definitely yelped when that 5th goal went in.
Yeah. It was I think I mean, it's just one game, so we can't read everything to it, but just watching it there, it gives you a lot of belief that Vancouver can win this series if you just see the goaltending and defense. And then obviously the important thing is going to be staying out of the box, but
still see the Canucks as an underdog.
I mean, I would think so. And another thing about this game that maybe we haven't discussed yet is both these teams had a long layoff. Like Edmonton hasn't played in over a week, and Vancouver maybe not a full week, but still they took a couple days. You're always going to be a little rusty, and I thought they definitely, McDavid bobbled pucks you normally don't see him do that. So who knows how they'll come out next game? But
The hands for both teams looked a little rusty, but not the feet. Both teams were skating hard and
because they got the energy.
Playing physical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought Vancouver was probably more physical than Edmonton, at least to start the game, some of those bigger hits.
Yeah. I think throughout the whole game, they were pushing the pace a lot more.
Yeah.
Edmonton countered, or the Canucks used our favorite word, the game tonight, structure.
Structure, yeah. They just stuck to it, and you give yourself a chance when you do. Because if they just try to open up the game in the third or something like that and just pinch, you don't want to do that, right? You just try to bide your time and play the right way and hope that it goes your way.
That fourth Edmonton goal was a little bit of lapse in structure. I saw Hyman come down the wing. I'm like, he's pretty open.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, he was the only one in the entire zone.
Yeah.
And I just thought Tyler Myers closed that gap right away. Like there's no he just kind of had a stick kind of near him. It's like just close that gap. He's got nobody to pass to right now. So make him dump it in the corner. Don't give him a shot. But
just erase him.
Yeah.
I saw the
force him to make a play.
The puck was in the middle. I saw Hyman streaking down the left side going, it's pretty open. Hope someone's there and sees him. A little late to see him, but
well, I think if Tyler Myers can do that play over again, he probably just goes in, gets his stick on it, or forces Hyman to throw it into the corner as opposed to giving him the shot. I'm assuming he maybe didn't think Hyman would score from there or take the shot, but
he was playing a little bit towards the middle. As he was expecting whomever had the puck there. I don't remember who it was. Let's just assume it was McDavid. He was expecting the help to cover up the middle and still be there for Hyman. So he might have been cheating a little bit.
Maybe, yeah, it could have been. I mean, luckily for him, that's not a play that comes back to haunt him or anything like that, because they find a way to get the goals in the third and come up with a 5-4.
I'll go over in video tomorrow and in practice, and then we'll clean it up a bit for Friday.
Yeah, no, good, huge win for Vancouver. I think, especially when you have home ice, you want to win that game one. You don't want to put yourself behind the 8 ball, which in the second period it looked like that might be the case, but they stormed back. All right, any other thoughts that you have about this game?
Well, great start to the series, good momentum builder, and just if they keep tidy up a couple things, in it's going to be a long series. Well, if my prediction comes true, 5 games isn't a long series, but it'll still be a long series because watching McDavid beat your team ages you about 10 years.
Yeah, he's I mean, but you got to feel good about it. And boy, I gotta say, this was a lot more of an entertaining game than the National Series. This kind of a slog.
It's more fun than people trying to score.
Yeah, it was a more open game, and there's more bounces. Maybe, yeah. I mean,
I think that first season might be good for the Canucks to show that if they want to muck it up, they can muck it up and just play the
play defensive game. Yeah. No, that was good. I think that helps, right? Playing that kind of style, because I think the reverse of that is harder, to have such an open series and then you go into a tight one. It's harder to adjust to that as opposed to the other way, right?
Yeah, it's like you're given more leeway with that rope. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, I will. One of them, I don't know if you caught any highlights of that Boston Florida game.
Yeah,
that was a crazy one. It was a fight, really. I mean, that was a crazy end of the game. 1-1 series there. Crazy how they already played 2 games in that series, and now Canucks just finally playing their first game.
Yeah, Boston got one day rest, and then they're on to the next series, where Edmonton and Vancouver both got almost a week.
Yeah, and that's kind of been so far the theme. The team that's had the more rest has looked a little rusty in the game one. Like Boston won that game, right? Florida had a long rest, looked rusty. Boston just played an elimination game, so they're right there. They know what they need to do. So sometimes that helps, and sometimes it doesn't help if you have a long rest, unless you have some big game.
Rangers had the most rest, and they look good.
Yeah, they looked good. Carolina, I mean, I think it was Carolina. They had 50-something shots in that game, though. The Rangers had 30 something to I think they had 56
for
shots.
For a double overtime game.
Yeah, 50 something shots, and then Rangers only had 30 something. But Shesterkin did great. Freddie Anderson played a great game, but that last goal, the overtime one, it's a power play goal, but yeah, I don't know, not the greatest goal to give up. But yeah, that's how it is. All right, next game Friday, game 2. Canucks will look to try to take a 2-0 series lead. Got to be a lot harder than this game. We'll see how that goes. All right, thanks for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter. Our handles are right there underneath our names. Yeah, like this video. Please comment. Let us know your thoughts about the game. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Canucks Chatter on Instagram and YouTube.
Yep. Canucks Chatter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok as well. Go follow us and all that fun stuff. All right. See you guys on Friday.